We are on lesson 2.4 in this video, so I need to go to a new section of the notebook. I believe it's going to be the green one. And let me put in the label. If you are keeping a notebook, you can do this as well. This is lesson 2.4. And the title of this one, I believe, is probability. I'll have to check and see. I should have done this off camera. I'm sorry. I don't think of these things until I log on, and then here I am. And okay. So on page 70 of the textbook, this is called Determine Probability. So we will be looking at some new math rules. In my experience, this has been one of the more difficult lessons for students in the past. The math is not terribly long and complicated. It's more the understanding of what you're being asked to do with this. So hopefully this will make a little more sense after we do these. And again, I'm going to try to do one page per video. That hasn't worked out quite that way in the last lesson, but I'll do my best here. So I'm on page 70 of the textbook, and we're talking about probability. So let's go ahead and define probability. If you've heard the word probable or probably, that can help you to understand the meaning of probability. Probability is the study, so it's a branch of mathematics, not study. My handwriting's getting worse. The study of how likely it is for an event to occur. And I had to take a course in college that involved everything that's in chapter 2. It was a whole semester, and it drove me crazy. As much as I love math, this is not the kind of math I love. One of the things my professor showed me that helped me more than anything was this. Everything in the world of probability ranges from 0 to 1. And I remember saying, how can that be? That everything in this world is on a probability of 0 to 1. 0 means that an event is impossible. For example, if I tell you that tomorrow the sun will rise in the west, that is a 0 probability, because the sun cannot do that based on the way the earth is turning. For that to occur, the earth would have to reverse on its axis. So that is a 0 probability. What if I tell you that tomorrow the sun will rise? That is a certain event. For as long as the earth has existed in its current state, on its axis, rotating as it does, it's a certainty that the sun will come up tomorrow. So everything ranges from impossible, it absolutely cannot happen, to it is a certainty that it's going to happen. Benjamin Franklin, I believe it was, said that death and taxes are certain. They are a 100% probability. So if you get this in your mind, that everything in the probability world is from 0 to 1, things start to make a little more sense, or they did to me. So then my professor put a line right here. And he said, what is that? What is that mark from 0 to 1? And I said, well, that's 1/2. If it's halfway to 1, it's 1/2. And he said, what is that as a percentage? I said, well, that's 50%. So if I flip a coin, what is the probability that I'm going to see heads land heads up? It's 1/2. It's 1 out of 2. It's either going to be heads or tails. So that is a 50% probability. What is the probability that if I point to a color on the American flag, what's the probability that I will randomly, if I close my eyes and touch a spot on the American flag, what is the probability that it will be red? Well, how many colors are on the American flag? There are 3. So the probability that it would be red would be 1/3, 1 out of 3. Or it is about 1/3 of the way from 0 to 1. You start to get more of a feel for this when you think about it on the number line. A 0% possibility has a 0 probability. That's 0%. As a decimal, that's 0.00. 100% is certain. It is going to happen. And that is a 1.00 probability as a decimal. 50% as a decimal would be 0.5 or 0.50. You can have the 0 or not. 1/3 is 0.33, repeating. 2/3 would be 0.66, repeating. 1/4 would be about right here. That's 0.25. So probability and fractions go hand in hand. 3/4 would be about right there, or 0.75. So everything that we will talk about in this lesson has a probability of 0 to 1. It's impossible if it's 0. It's certain if it's 1. So using the example on page 70, I'm going to have to draw this. Okay, here's a circular spinner. And the circle is divided into 4 equal, that's very important, that the sections are equal. And this many of them are colored blue. So there's 1 out of 4. That's 1/4. 2/4. What would the whole be? That would be 4/4. And down here's the other one. So 3 out of 4 of these are colored blue. And then attached to the middle of this circle is a spinner. So you have this arrow-looking thing. It looks like the hands on a clock, where the arrow is here, and this is usually a weight that will help the spinner to spin, and it's spinning from the center. So if I spin the spinner, the arrow is going to land on one of those spaces. Now there is the slight possibility that it could land on one of the lines, but we're going to look at some probabilities based on the color. So what if I asked you, what is the probability that the spinner will land on a white sector? Well, there's 1 white sector out of 4. So the probability is 1/4, or as we did on the number line, that's the decimal 0.25, or as a percentage, it's 25%. Would you bet on that? What if somebody said, I'll bet you $1 that the spinner will not land on a white one? And you say, okay, I'll bet you $1 that it will land on a white one. You got a 1 in 4 chance of that happening. What's the probability that the spinner would land on a blue sector? Well, there are 4 sectors, and 3 of them are blue. So that is 0.75, or 75%. Somebody said, I'll bet you $1 that it'll land on blue. I might take that bet because the odds are in my favor. What if they said, I'll bet you, or would you bet your house that it would land on blue? I know people who would. They say the chances are better than half, so yeah, I'll do that. Would you bet your life that it would land on a blue sector? No, I wouldn't, because there's a chance it won't. There's a 1/4 chance that it would not. Would you bet $1 million on this probability? You better believe it, because this is a sure thing. Remember that word or? 1/4 white or 3/4 blue is 4/4, which is 1 whole or 100%. This is a certainty, because blue and white are the only choices for sectors. Remember, the word or means add. The word and means multiply. So let's go ahead and if you see the word or, you're going to add. If you see the word and, you're going to multiply. And we'll be using that little rule as we go through here. Okay, I want to go over some of the phrases that they have in the book. It says spinning blue is likely. Spinning white is unlikely. Spinning blue or white is certain. What if I asked you this one? What's the probability of spinning a red on this one? Well, out of 4 sections, 0 are red. So that is a 0% chance, which means it's impossible because there is no red sector on there. So it is not possible. Okay, I want to give you the way to write probability formally. Here is the formula for probability. Probability equals a ratio. That's why it's in this chapter. It is the comparison, the ratio, of the number of favorable outcomes over the total number of outcomes. And we've been doing that without even realizing it. We've been doing it. The probability of spinning white is 1 white sector out of 4 total sectors. So the probability formula is just a ratio. It's just a comparison of those 2 events. So we need that formula. We need to keep that in the backs of our minds as we go through this. And I am to the end of page 70, so I'm going to stop the video, and I'll see you back for page 71.